DreamHack Open is brought to you by Corsair, Monster Energy, Nice Cactus, and GGBet.
The sun has risen over the beautiful city of Seville, and with that comes Championship Sunday here at DreamHack Open. Over the course of the past 2 days, 8 teams have been whittled down to just 4, who will now battle it out for fame, glory, and a shot at that gorgeous DreamHack Open trophy. My name is Preshow, your desk host for the duration of this final day of DreamHack Open Seville. And of course, I want to start off by giving a massive shout out to our sponsors, Corsair, Monster Energy, and Nice Cactus. Thank you so much for joining us at the final stop of DreamHack Open in 2019. Of course, joining me up on the desk are my 2 wonderful analysts who've been here all weekend long, Blair and Potter. Guys, the final day of the final DreamHack Open of the year. It must be a momentous occasion.
It is a pretty cool occasion. I think we have the usual suspects in the playoffs, right? We have North, we have Mad Lions, the 2 Danish powerhouses, so to speak. You know, North having a lot to prove, Mad Lions looking for that win. And on the other side of the bracket, we of course have our good old EU mixes. We have Crazy coming in and of course Godsend. So I am personally very, very excited about this.
And I think the most interesting thing about the Opens throughout this entire year is the progression of the competitiveness coming out of all of these teams coming out. I remember the very first Open we came in, there was a lot of lopsided matches starting off in the beginning of the tournament, and I feel like towards the latter end of this year, it's just been getting neck and neck, closer and closer. And I'm thinking in 2020, specifically with those first 2 Open stops, with the direct qualification into those Masters, it's just going to get even more competitive. So these teams, they really want that title. They want to be able to qualify for the bigger Masters. So it's going to get even more exciting.
Yes, exactly. I'm so excited to see who manages to lift the trophy today, and of course, what happens going into 2020. But Potter, you've attended every single DreamHack Open this year. This must be quite an emotional occasion for you, wrapping it all up.
It is, and I'm excited because these players, I mean, just thinking about their schedules, they're so busy already, and it's just that 2 birds, 1 stone type of mentality, right? If your schedule's so busy, you're practicing, and you can't attend every qualifier that you can. And being able to go to this Open, not only competing for the first place and the prize pool, and getting to qualify for bigger major tournaments, it's an exciting time in CSGO, just having all of these opportunities.
Well, we're going to take a recap of Open 2019 with this video. Take a look at this.
2019 has been wild. I mean, we've had 7 different DreamHack Opens on like 3 different continents all over the world. So it's been crazy to see all the different styles coming out of all the different parts of the world and seeing all these new champions. My favorite memory from this year is, it has to be DreamHack Rio. That was like one of my first DreamHack Opens that I ever worked. And not only that, it was in Brazil, and these Brazilian fans are fucking crazy.
The best memory is, of course, winning DreamHack Rotterdam. I always dreamed of, and it was perfect.
I think 2019, our goal was to make it to 1 DreamHack Open, and I think we have been here 3 or 4 times now, so 2019 has been amazing. One of my favorite moments of 2019 was when we made it to the semi at the DreamHack Summer.
2019 has been turbulent, and I mean, we've changed rosters 2 or 3 times now. Haven't really found our ground yet, I would say, but it's just the progress, man. It's a process.
I'm looking forward to most in 2020, just new players coming out and new teams forming in order to be competitive.
I think 2020 is gonna be really good. I don't feel like stopping right now, so and no one else in the team does, and we have really good chemistry right now, so I think we're gonna definitely come into top 10 like next year at some point, definitely.
I say that 2020 will show the light.
We're gonna be crazy next season, literally.
We want to take it to the next step. We want to make it into top 15, top 20, and play some of the Masters next year.
I think it's a great circuit for up-and-coming teams, up-and-coming players, and even up-and-coming talents as well. And going to 2020, I think the stakes have been raised even further. We have more DreamHack Opens taking place and lead to even bigger and better things. You win the prize pool and you get a slot in the DreamHack Masters, which I think is a very, very cool thing.
I think 2020 is going to be just as good or even better.
All those teams lifting the DreamHack Open trophies, I absolutely love to see it. But interestingly, no team has lifted a trophy twice, and potentially they could do it today in Seville.
Yeah, Crazy are a winner. Mad Lions would, of course, be... They haven't won one yet.
No,
they've got second. They've always never managed to get that win. I just want to add one final thing, right? When it comes to the DreamHack Open, the circuit, right? Everyone's like, you have all these tier 2 teams playing, tier 3 teams is not as good as, let's say, a Masters, for example, or, you know, some of the bigger events. But I think it's a very important circuit for the health of Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I think it's very unique to Counter-Strike, something which is not there in other esports titles. And it helps find cool new teams. ENCE won DreamHack Winter in 2018. And you saw what happened the next couple of months. They managed to reach the finals of a major. So I'm just saying, you can find these teams. It's kind of like a confidence boost, I feel like, winning a DreamHack Open and kind of elevating your level to be the next potential superstar team.
For sure, and we heard in an interview Snappy from Heroic after they won their very first DreamHack Open just a couple months ago. He said that was his 4th grand final, his 4th attendance in a grand final on that stage, and he finally won one. So it's all about that grind, it's all about that progression, and just understanding what you're capable of. And I think that's definitely the beautiful thing about this stage right there.
Yes, exactly. And there's been so many amazing storylines going on throughout this whole year of DreamHack Open. Obviously, this is my first DreamHack Open, and I've absolutely loved it. But Blair, I want to know your kind of highlight of the year of your journey through DreamHack Open.
Well, highlight for the year, I think quite a few of them. I think Rotterdam was my favorite so far, right? Rotterdam was so cool because we had Crazy coming in. Everyone's like, you know, they've lost Hunter, they've lost Nexa, they're not going to win anything. There was so much emotions in that thing, and I think there were a little bit of audio issues. So there was no caster audio going out to the crowd, but the crowd was packed. They didn't care. They were there to watch Counter-Strike. I loved it. I loved the city. So for me, DreamHack Open was my favorite Open. Not just Open, I think it was my favorite event by far.
Yes, exactly. Well, I think what you kind of touched on in that video there, the leading into 2020, everybody is obviously looking for the year ahead. This calendar is going to be packed. But I think DreamHack Opens is so important because if you win that, it leads into a Masters, right? And that's what you were saying about the progression from tier 2, tier 3 teams to get into that tier 1 circuit. It's going to be so cool to see that direct progression going on with ESL Pro Tour.
Yeah, with ESL Pro Tour, I mean, we spoke about this earlier as well. Like, you win the ESL National Championships. You have the ones in UK, over in Germany. For example, there's so many ESL National Championships happening around the world. You win that, and then you get a direct start to a DreamHack Open. You manage to win that, you get a start into the Masters. That's a pretty cool thing, right, Potter?
It is, and I mean, the different styles coming from the regions, we saw a little bit about it yesterday, those MAC 10s coming out, pressing W from the CIS region, then we got the Danish region that just uses their brain power, using their, you know, the game sense in the game, and then the NA, again, holding down W. There's a lot of different styles, a lot of different approaches to what people think that is the best style of Counter-Strike, and when you see them competing and bringing out their best on the stage, it's beautiful.
It is absolutely beautiful. And speaking of that, I want to take a quick recap of yesterday because it was one of the most jam-packed days of Counter-Strike that I think I've ever experienced. What was it, 5, 16, 14?
I think so.
Really, really taking it all the way in their matches. But what was kind of a highlight for you coming out of yesterday, Potter?
I mean, it's got to be, like you said, those long games. And I think it's fantastic to see these teams recuperate. We saw Godsent yesterday having such a long day. I believe we said they started around 2 p.m. And having that sort of mental, your mental fortitude tested to that level, tested to that extreme, it's fantastic to see these players being able to come out on top, be victorious, and show up in the grand finals. And that's what I'm hoping to see today.
Yeah, I mean, 176 rounds of Counter-Strike in a day is ridiculous. But here's the thing, if you're being tested like that, coming into the final day, you're like, we managed to survive that struggle, right? So they're going to be looking really fired up. I'm the sort of guy who believes, like, just because you got really tested doesn't mean you're going to kind of deflate going in. They actually might have the edge over some of these teams. Like Mad Lions, we've only seen them play 2 best-of-1s, same as Crazy as well. So they might be, you know, Mad Lions did say we're going to be prepping on Saturday, the day off yesterday. Crazy, like, we're going to go out, chill a bit, do a little bit of prep. But coming into this final day, you're facing a North who are angry and hungry. You're facing up against the Godsent who have been tested to their very limits.
Very much
It's
so.
not going to be easy.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I spoke to Devil Walk when we were walking back over to the hotel, and he was saying, I don't know how I'm still awake right now. He was so tired. So hopefully they had a nice rest and a nice sleep and hopefully a little bit of prep. But I think for me, it was nice to see movie star riders actually proving themselves in that first best of 3, especially we were sat out in the crowd for the second best of 3, which obviously they didn't win. But I think it's nice to have some of those home teams kind of showing up on their home soil.
For sure, and especially that Steel story. I mean, a major winner, having such a presence in the Brazilian scene, making his way over to NA. Now he's in Spain, trying to make a team from scratch work out, and you can see his in-game leader prowess in that server. It is unfortunate that, as you mentioned, Freya, they didn't win that second match, but at least we saw some life coming out of them in that first match. It was exciting out there.
Yes, exactly. We're going to take a quick look at our playoff bracket to recap everything that has gone down so far. Obviously, we've seen Mad Lions progressing from day one. They had a day off yesterday. They have a nice day to chill, maybe go explore Seville, or what Hunden was saying, practice, practice, practice. And of course, North managed to make it through yesterday after winning that best of 3. And then Crazy and Godsend will be taking on each other in our second semi-final of the day. These names, I don't think there are any surprises. Maybe the absence of Big not being here. But other than that, I think these teams are well deserved.
I think, yeah, absolutely. Like, Big were the biggest disappointment so far. We knew it was going to be either North or Big making it through, but North made it through. Big they came lost. They lost very convincingly. They weren't even to win a single map. Unfortunately, they lost all maps in overtimes. That just got to break your little heart, right, Potter? But at the same time, yeah, sometimes you just got to win. It's unfortunate for them, but I think the usual suspects have made their way through. Right now, who's going to win? North winning this is going to mean so much to them. This is a must-win event for a team like North. The pedigree they have, the players they have, the org behind them, they need to win this event. Mad Lions, they're hungry. They've placed second 2 lands in a row. They want that win. Crazy, they want to be the only team, I believe, this year to win 2 opens as well. And of course, Godsend, they want to make a statement too. So all these teams have a lot to lose and a lot to win as well.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of want to touch upon a couple of these teams and just how you've seen them grow throughout the year. Poster, obviously, you've been at every single DreamHack Open this year. What kind of teams have surprised you and who has sort of really proved themselves for you?
I think probably the Crazy lineup. I mean, I think the fact that they lost their 2 heavy hitters earlier on in this year, then their rebuilding process, their coach becoming a full-time player. There's so many different storylines for this international lineup, trying to make their mark, trying to make their name. And it all started last year in 2018, where they just came out of nowhere under their Valiant banner and just started competing with the best of the best. So I think it's exciting that to see Neil, just his emotions behind this team, every star like potential coming out of all these individual players on this lineup, and their skill ceiling. We still haven't seen them at 100%. We always talk about what could be if Otto shows up every time, if Ships shows up every time. So if these players are able to just pass that barrier of just being tier 2, it's going to be an exciting time for that lineup.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love seeing Neil on every lineup that he's on. I think he brings so much emotion and so much passion to it. But of course, we're going to be focusing in on our first game of the day. It's Mad Lions versus North. Blair, you've got 3 reasons why for this matchup, haven't you?
3 reasons why, yes I do. I do have 3 reasons why. 3 reasons why I believe the Mad Lions will roar. Bear in mind, both these teams have lions in their logos. And Hunden did say that I want to prove that we are the stronger lions. Reason number 1 is going to be the style. We know what style of Counter-Strike these guys play. If you look at Mad Lions, they play a very structured style. Hunden, he doesn't even need to frag. He lets his players do the fragging. He sets them up so well. Cool strats, very good anti-stratting. They're just like the well-rounded Danish rock, so to speak. Reason number 2 would be their maps. They have an 80% and above win rate on 4 of the maps in the map pool, all on LAN. Even the 5th map, the 5th worst map is Nuke, which is still have 66% on. The 2 weak map they have is Inferno and Mirage. Mirage is going to get banned out. So Inferno, at least, is their only weak point, so to speak, map pool-wise. And that's a very strong statement indeed. And reason number 3 are... Who's going to be the hungry Lions here, right? Mad Lions want this win. They have come in second 2 lands in a row. Their debut with this lineup was the V4 Future Sports Festival, which they won. Then they've come second. They want to close it out in the first position. They're the 20th team right now in HLTV rankings. They want to get a little bit of a boost, maybe 17, 16 going to 2020. So they need this win. For North, it's win or lose. They need not just to win this matchup, they need to win this entire event to at least kind of like keep their detractors at bay for the time being. So there you have it.
Yes, exactly. Well, you kind of alluded to it there, Blair, the maps. I'm so interested to see what these maps are going to be, because you brought it up in the green room, Potter. These are 2 teams that have been facing off against each other a lot. They're both from Denmark. They're both going to be familiar with each other's map pool. Which way, rather, do you think it's going to be going?
Well, and that's the interesting thing, right, is who's going to float Vertigo. Both of these Danish teams, they're so familiar with each other, and I think there's going to be a little bit of mind games coming into this veto. You know, when we look at these percentages, there's certainly going to be a curveball thrown in that way, but right off the bat, I think North are going to have to veto Train or Vertigo, just depending. Okay, and there it is, Train and Inferno out of the way.
This. I like the fact that I'm actually very surprised that Mirage was floated by Mad Lions. This could be them trying to bait North into picking Mirage. You never know. It's a map that they usually always go for a first ban, but no, they're not gonna bite the bait. Overpass is gonna be picked by North. I'm not really surprised here. It's a map they're very comfortable on. I think they're just going for the comfort pick, not really going for any punish picks. The Dust 2 pick is surprising.
Are North confident enough to float? No. Yes, they are.
Okay.
Wow.
This is very cool. I expected Mirage to be banned out by Mad Lions. They proved us wrong. And then Train being banned, that's something you brought up, Potter. You're like, I think they might just ban out Train because that's a map that Mad Lions is so very damn good on. It's going to be an exciting series. I like these 3 maps. I think it can really go down to the wire here.
For sure, and I'm just excited to see that. I hope it gets to that 3rd map. I mean, all signs tell us that it should. This should be very competitive. But if it gets to that Vertigo, Gade versus Hunden, this is going to be interesting to see who comes out on top of this mysterious Vertigo that has been coming at us all year long.
That's the thing with Vertigo, though. Both these teams have won their Vertigo picks, but it's against Illuminar who don't seem to know how to play Vertigo. So there's so much you can gauge from that, right? 16-4 for, I do believe it was for Mad Lions, and North as well. They won. They should have closed it out more convincingly, but there was no shadow. There's not a shadow of doubt in my mind they were going to close it out eventually. It was going to be a 16-5 scoreline. They managed a mini comeback, but they closed it out. So how much can you really gauge from these 2 maps? I don't know. It could get a little messy.
One more thing about that also is that, well, Mad Lions, they had the cojones to bust it out in the semifinals and the grand finals, whereas North just finally first picked it yesterday for the first time in all of the tournament circuits. So that confidence approach as far as how they view the map, I think Mad Lions certainly feel a lot more confident on that map than North do.
Yes, exactly. Well, the Vertigo fan club is still going strong, but we had a chat with both of our teams before this semi-final. Let's take a look exactly what they had to say.
Chances, a bomb still in his hand, still in his favor, but that smoke's beginning to fade.
Overall, I'm surprised that they go play so well because I was a bit nervous and I really wanted to show the new organization how good we were. And all of us did it and we played perfect on the first day.
Weapons eventually pulls the sniper. Shush is pushed all the way up and they're going to line up for him. He finds a double with the bomb drop at his feet as well. Maybe another.
It feels amazing to go straight to the semi. Our expectation is to make it to the final, and if we do that, then I hope we can win 1 Open this year.
And 2 players on the other end of the window. He'll tap, he'll go forward. The window. Time is ticking.
I actually want to say good luck, North, if you're going to play against us. We're going to show who the real lion is.
Jeremy do it for the rest of the team. Flashes onto a lot of the teams and easy.
I'd say that everything but a win of the entire tournament would be a disappointment for us. We haven't had the best ending of 2019, so we wanted to finish with a win here in Sevilla.
Just because some of the action on the other side, but that's going to even the odds a tad big. Jeremy from the window area gets
Mad Lions is not only considered like a better team, also in the Danish scene, so it's going to be like a small Danish derby. I used to be the coach of Hunden, so yeah, he's still at the bottom of the scoreboard, I see, so nothing has changed there.
What they have right now, they're slowing it right down, and they're going to get torn apart. They're going to get pushed up close. The drop getting a kill, but AZ Trading is
Yeah, so let's have a good game against Mad Lions and show them who's the boss.
North's coach bringing the spice there. I like that. Wow.
I love that so much. It's at the bottom of the scoreboard. But here's the thing, though. In favor of Hunden, he doesn't need to frag.
No?
He doesn't need to frag. He can literally just go AFK and just be like this mastermind, you know, like a spider with his webs and just controlling his plays, because he sets them up so goddamn well. Acor, Bubsky, Shush, Roy, like, these are 4 players. Apart from Bubsky, if you look at the other 2 players, and if you're not very well versed with the Counter-Strike, like Tier 2 or Tier 3, and you're like, who the hell are these guys? They're a top 20 team in the world right now, and it's because of Big Brain Hunden.
For sure, and I gotta appreciate Acor, you know, the opping prowess in that server. I think all 5 of these guys, they're so tight-knit, especially when they're attacking those bomb sites. They seem to be so close together. They've perfected their timing and their trading ability. We saw Acor, that clip on Dust 2. He's been doing that all tournament long. Granted, they've only played those 2 maps, but in those 2 maps, he was able to trade, he was able to even entry, he was able to go into the sites alone. So having that sort of op power on your team, the firepower, then have Bubsky being able to follow you up in that manner, Hunden is a lucky man right now, but his brain power, we're seeing it consistently in that server.
And I think a really cool thing as well for this lineup is now it doesn't feel like, I mean, you talk about like Danish in-game leaders and you expect him to be micromanaging everything. It doesn't feel like that either. Yes, he has a very cool mid-round cult, but you can see how he sends out some of his plays like satellites out, right? Like, I trust you to go for the right play, and I think that's a really cool thing. It's not him just controlling everything like a dictator in a server. He allows us to play a lot of freedom. We saw Acor with an AWP, for example, on Dust 2, just completely destroying, I think it was Gambit Youngsters, and it looks so really cool to see the variations he has in his team style.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you brought up a good point there, because obviously Mad Lions weren't playing yesterday. They haven't played a best of 3 at DreamHack Open Seville yet. They had the day off yesterday. What do you kind of expect them to be doing? Do you think they were here watching all the games?
I actually ran into Hunden yesterday, so I know he was here for a few hours, and he's the man behind the scenes, right? And I think Blair said it perfectly about the fact that these players, he's not micromanaging them so much, it's all about that prep. Each one of these players knows exactly what the game plan is. You can see their conviction in that server. Acor, when he's picking a corner, he knows where to expect the enemies to be because Hunden's already manipulated the rotations for him to perfectly be there. The utility setup and all of these riflers just making space for Acor to find those openings. It's perfect to see, and these players don't have to think too much. They already understand the game plan. They already understand exactly what their responsibilities are in that server.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's very evident just from watching them play, even just in day one, obviously 16-7 against Gambit Youngsters and then 16-4 against Illumina, not letting any of their opponents go into double digits. And I think that is just a testament, obviously, as you were saying, Hunden, but the firepower that these guys can really bring. What if you were North, who would you be really, really scared of running into in the server?
Bubsky. It's got to be Bubsky, right? I mean, Bubsky, he's a name that we've been consistently saying all year long. And this youngster, you know, ever since he made his name for himself in the Fragsters lineup, then he's getting picked up here. And under the guidance of Hunden, you can see exactly how effective he can be in that server. He's the youngster that really relies heavily on his mechanics. And sometimes your mechanics aren't going to always get you out of the sticky situation. Sure, it's going to make you look flashy. Sure, you might be able to save your team in specific rounds, but really it's the foundation that's going to enable you to be successful together as a unit. And Bubsky, he's definitely, the dividends had paid off for him for Hunden being his leader.
Yes, certainly. And obviously we saw North yesterday taking on Movie Star Riders, which was actually a pretty convincing win, especially in that second map of Vertigo. We were kind of saying this is the old North that we're used to seeing, and they have resurfaced. So I'm hoping that they're going to show up again in the server today.
Yeah, but bear in mind, when they played against Big, who disappointed us, they were almost losing, I think 16-6, but then it was a couple of huge clutches coming in the way of Kirby, who allowed them to come back to the game, win it in overtime. They got beaten pretty convincingly by Crazy on Dust 2, which is why I do believe that Mad Lions have gone for the Dust 2 pick. And yes, they beat Movie Star Riders, but let's be honest, you can't really read too much into that, right? They still haven't really been tested. Well, you can say the same for Mad Lions. They only beat Illuminar and Gambit Youngsters. They haven't really faced the good opponents yet so far. So it's going to be interesting. I'm still going to point out the fact Kirby and AZ have been great so far this tournament. They have been the reason they're here in the semifinals right now. Gate has been doing some pretty decent calls as well, especially in Vertigo. I do believe even Cajun B has been pretty solid. Yugi, man, he's still disappointing me. Like, he's not supposed to be the bottom of the scoreboard. You're not, the typical in-code support player. You are here to be the star opera. You were picked up from Heroic, the Heroic lineup, to show what he can do with the big green zoom banger. He hasn't done anything, and if Acor pops up, and especially in a map like Dust 2, if he doesn't really pick it up, it's going to be rough for North.
Yeah, that's what I'm so excited to see, that man on the screen, Gade. In Vertigo yesterday, he was my favorite player. The rushing A ramp, so good. I absolutely love to see that. But do you think, obviously this map veto kind of went a different way than we were expecting. Do you think it particularly favors anybody?
Mad Lions. And here's the thing, the reason it goes a little weird when it comes to these sort of map vetoes is because of the domestic matchups, right? You'll always see this when you have teams who play each other so often, they're from the same country, they prac against each other all the time. They start to try and mind game things, right? But if you look at this veto, it's going to go the way, I really believe it's going to go the way of Mad Lions here.
I do agree with you, however, I gotta say the curveball that I was kind of alluding to in the pregame, that might be overpassed because North's win rate on this is only 50%, while Lions have over a 70% win rate played on this map, but North were the team that picked it. So this might be like, a curveball coming out of North. Maybe they've been practicing a lot, or maybe they know exactly how Hunden want to approach it.
Well, speaking of which, I think it is time for our predictions. We can see the guys getting set up on stage. Potter, who are you going to be siding with?
I'm going with Mad Lions here. That's it. Mad Lions all the
Mad
way.
Lions
Roar.
all the way.
Yeah, Big Brain Hunden all the way.
Yep, I think I'm joining the Mad Lions train as well. I think they're going to be taking it all the way. And of course, I'm really excited to take a look at our Twitch predictions because they actually sided with me yesterday quite a lot. Let's see if they're going to... Oh, so close. 43% Mad Lions, 57%.
That might be the closest vote we've had so far.
I think we've had like 30 70s and then we had like a 10-90 a couple of times. So yeah, thank you very much for being very moderate, Twitch chat. Very, very good indeed. But I think all there is left to do is hand it over to our casters, Letty Gress and